Guys, welcome back to my Flash episode review. I hope everyone had a great winter break, spending time with their relatives over the holidays. So, let's get started with my thoughts of Revenge of the Rogues, the mid-season premiere of The Flash. And it was a really, really good comeback episode. The one trend I've noticed with a lot of shows, once they come back from an extended break, whether it's summer or well, it's typically the winter break, like the mid-season premiere is typically not that great. I mean, they do, yes, most of the time the episodes are decent, but more often than not, there's kind of like more like filler episodes. This definitely felt like the writers and producers of these shows, mainly because of how they reacted, how fans have, excuse me, I'm a little sick. The fans, how they've reacted to the mid-season premieres of Arrow in the last couple of years. They're trying to step up their game, and this episode was really, really strong on a lot of different levels for me. And so I'm just going to dive into what I thought worked in the episode, what I thought was actually really cool. But the characters, the great thing about the show is they really are caring about their characters and how they are written. And they're showing a confidence in their show that Arrow didn't necessarily have going into the first half of their first season. Well, I thought Arrow was still a good show at the time. It was like obviously I didn't feel like Arrow was that confident in itself that it knew exactly what it was going to do with those characters. Because I felt like a lot of characters at the time were hit or miss. But now Flash, now the second time around doing a superhero show, now they have more of an idea of like what direction they want to take their characters in. And now, especially with the show, like they really know how to treat their characters and kind of make them go through the feelings and emotions that we all would typically go through in any given situation. And I love how Barry is trying, and especially in this episode, not just dwelling on the whole Iris thing, not dwelling on the whole Reverse Flash thing, because that's what kind of like what Oliver did in the past when, when Malcolm Merlyn defeated him the first time. Like he was all dwelling on it, and yet, and like this time around, like all Barry is doing is trying to make himself better, make himself faster, so that way next time he's prepared and so he can save more people. I mean, the one thing I didn't like about it was the fact that he was going to abandon being the Flash just so he can get faster. I mean, I understand that is his mother's killer. Like, he wants to be prepared for the next time because obviously he wasn't prepared to face Reverse Flash first time around. But I mean, hey, he's only been a superhero for like he's only been the Flash for not even that long, so it's a little forgivable sometimes. But yeah. But another thing I was surprisingly like in this episode is Cisco and his kind of like if you want to call it a relationship, or his working relationship with the Central City Police Department. That was something that caught me a little off guard. Yeah, sorry for that little delay, guys. Actually, my boss called me about some work stuff. But anyways, back to what I was saying about Cisco, and it was kind of interesting seeing that dynamic between Captain Singh and Cisco, and it wasn't a big thing in the episode, but I thought it was kind of cool, especially at the end of the episode when he thanked him. Because I don't know, maybe they'll do something with that down the line. Who knows? Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool seeing that because it's a dynamic I wasn't really expecting to see. Because you kind of think of like Barry and Star Labs, and then Barry with his work, so you never really think like the two crossing over really. So it's kind of interesting. Actually, I've been warming up to Eddie a little more. The one thing I didn't like initially when they made him do the whole task force thing for trying to capture the Flash, like that really annoyed me. Mainly because that's something that they tried doing in Arrow initially, and I'm just like, stop! Like, don't copy certain story elements from Arrow into the Flash. Like do your own separate thing from Arrow. Don't be tied down to a universe you already successfully created. Do your own thing. Now that you have the established universe, do your own thing. Make your own stories. Like, be original. Like, be more creative in decision making. Like, don't take back from storylines of like your previous show or your other show. That's something that kind of bothered me. But this time around, like in this episode, I really enjoyed how they portrayed Eddie and how he, at the end of the day, saved Barry's life in the street battle, which is going into my next big positive for the episode. I loved Heatwave in this episode. I think, obviously the two actors from Prison Break, Wentworth Miller and Dominic Parcell, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Man, let me see if I can look it up. I have the name here somewhere. Yeah, Dominic Purcell, I think is it. Well, anyways, I loved the introduction of his character because it's just really cool seeing. I never watched I only watched like a single episode of Prison Break while it was on TV. I haven't watched it at all since, but it's still cool seeing those two actors reunite or something, playing completely different roles, not playing brothers or anything. I mean, they're playing like these super villains essentially. And I thought I really like Heatwave because they make him do kind of like act a little bit crazy, not like too like out there crazy, kind of like how like certain villains have been in the past on this show. They're not like too over the top or too cheesy. Like Heatwave was pretty good. But the one thing, I like Wentworth Miller as Captain Cold, like I really do. But sometimes I feel like the way he delivers his lines is a little too cheesy, or maybe that's what they're trying to do with the character. If that's the case, then I understand. But sometimes it comes off with like a little too much, and like seeing his dynamic with Heatwave, like character wise, not like them as actors, like they had great like on screen like chemistry as those characters. It was really interesting to see that aspect of them, like even though they're partners, they're not exactly like seeing eye to eye, you know. And the actor really brought a really good performance, and like again, like it wasn't too over the top. Like it felt like you really like you see this guy, he like all his burns on his body, like it's like really really crazy. And yeah, so another thing, sorry, I just put some stuff down. Another thing I really enjoyed was the whole when Caitlin's delving in the whole like firestorm thing, and another thing that kind of annoyed me was the whole firestorm abbreviation thing, because I feel like a lot of what these shows are doing now, there's like they're making abbreviations to like make more sense with their superhero code names or whatever. Like with Adam, that's what they did on Arrow, just in the mid-season finale for that. And like that's what they're doing for Firestorm, and it's just like, oh come on, just like stick with the names, like they're cool names. You don't have to make some like scientific background for it. I mean, Adam, like it's pretty self-explanatory. Firestorm, I mean, the name sounds cool, but whatever. I mean, like that was a minor thing. But mainly, what I was talking about positive was bringing Jason Rush in. But if you don't know comics too well, Jason Rush was actually part of the Firestorm. He was one half of the Firestorm character, because in the comics originally it was Professor Martenstein and Ronnie Raymond. They created the original Firestorm. Then something happened to Martenstein. I think he died or something like that. And then became Jason Rush, which was this young teenager, and then the mind of Ronnie Raymond, and they combined. It was Jason Rush's body with Ronnie Raymond and the subconscious. So it was a different combination. So it's cool saying that, because obviously what it looks like they're doing with Firestorm characters, what they did originally with, Martenstein and Ronnie Raymond in the same body and fighting for control of fighting for control of Firestorm. So I like that aspect of it, and bringing Jason Rush in, and even he's worried about like talking about Firestorm because the whole military thing, and even the actor like did a pretty cool job. Yeah, sometimes they bring in these like throwaway actors, and I'm just like, okay, like they're just there to do their part, and like they don't really care too much about their job. But like, this guy, I could definitely see like him coming around and bringing more to his character than just like a cameo here and then. But in the downtown fight, I might have mentioned this. Sorry, because that phone call messed up with my groove. It was really really cool, and seeing the Flash being able to finally have public awareness of him, I think that's definitely going to bring an interesting aspect of the show, because of course, like for the most part of the show, like the Flash has been like whispers and rumors and a blurred picture here and there, but now like people are aware of him. It's gonna be cool to see how they treat that, because I didn't like how they handled it. I was like, oh, it was like a mystery, but it's like, come on, just let him be the Flash, like because the Flash is the best, I think, when he's out there publicly doing these heroics, and people can see him being a hero. So hopefully that's what they're gonna do moving forward. And another big thing that I liked about this episode was the visual effects. With the guns and the heat gun and the cold gun. Those are really cool. The special effects getting, especially with Barry and his speed, excuse me, are there that's getting really cool too. The lightning, and it's improving little by little every episode. So overall, there's not a whole lot I had wrong with this episode. The only things I'm really about, and they're not really like negatives. They're just I'm really just being nitpicky because for me, I kind of feel like not like even if I may love something, it's not gonna be perfect. So I'd rather talk about the things that I thought might have been not necessarily okay or great, just to mention them, just because I don't believe anything's perfect. So I'd rather talk about the problems than just talk about how great everything is, because it just builds on conversation. So for me, the only minor things I didn't like in this episode were Iris and how she reacted to the whole thing, making things awkward. I mean, she didn't have a whole lot of lines in this episode, but I don't like how she's handling the situation with Barry. I mean, realistically, like, I can understand why she's reacting that way. I mean, honestly, I've definitely been there in the past. I've been the one to confess my feelings for someone, and then they kind of like shove me away and make things awkward. And that's just how some people are. Do you think Iris, considering how close her and Barry are, has let this whole thing like get to her like that? I don't think that's really fair for Barry. Fair, yeah. I don't think it's fair to Barry because like they've been friends for how long? They've been living together for how long? And she's gonna abandon that just because he has feelings and she may or may not have feelings. Like, and they'll probably address that in future episodes. But that was like a minor thing that bothered me. And then something I kind of mentioned earlier was the whole Snart thing. Sometimes it's a little too cheesy. But yeah, overall, this is a really, really solid episode. It was a great mid-season premiere. Um, Definitely one that I thoroughly enjoyed. Compared to like some mid-season premieres in the past, they just felt like filler episodes. This like drove the story, had cool, like did the cool fight, and you really felt like it was just a continuation of the show. It didn't feel like, oh, like there's a break, so they're addressing everything that happened in that break, or they're ignoring the break entirely. It felt like a nice continuation of the show, and that's what I really liked about it. All right, well, I think that would be it for me. I have nothing else to really talk about. If you guys have anything you want to mention, just go ahead and comment down below. Continue the conversation in the coming weeks. So I'm not the only one talking to my computer screen. All right, guys. I think that'll be it for me tonight. I'll give this episode a nice 9 out of 10. Revenge of the Rogues. See you guys next week, or maybe if you watch my Arrow episode review, maybe tomorrow. And have a good night, guys.